What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From the Vault, an exclusive podcast and web series put forth and produced by Empire State Bank. We are here today, of course, with Phil Guarneri, CEO of Empire State Bank, and we are joined by two great guests. We have with us Alexandria Vale, loan officer from Empire State Bank, and Michelle Nicolo, associate broker, DeFalco Realty. So, guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so nice to be here with both of you.
Thank you.
This has been a lot of fun, Anthony.
Definitely.
And we're certainly going to, I think, have a wonderful time on this episode.
Oh, yeah, definitely something's going to happen. We don't know what may
We
happen.
don't know, but I'm looking forward to it. It was fun, but too bad the guests don't get to see and hear what we talk
Behind
about.
the scenes.
Behind
The
the
outtakes.
scenes.
Right.
That's a different podcast altogether.
Right. That's the bloopers.
Okay.
So the focus of today's episode is going to be about home ownership, first-time home purchases, and sort of bringing in real perspective from both industries, both on the selling the home and on the lending side, because those are two key portions of buying a home.
Absolutely.
So with that, I think we'll let Phil kind of set us up with what we're going to go into first.
Sure. Well, I think it's important, and you just said, Anthony, first of all, with first-time home buyers, right? So it's a brand new experience, and most individuals do not understand the entire process, and it's not at all a complicated process, especially if you have experts. Today we have two experts here that can guide you, hold your hand, give you the education. So it's real important that individuals listen to this and follow the path, because it's a path to probably which is going to be the largest purchase you ever do. It's probably where you'll raise a family. So it's important to find the right home that makes sense. And Michelle's going to go through, I'm sure, a lot of that it's just a little more than what does the house look like.
Exactly.
Right.
And I love how you were so confident when he said it's very simple, right? It's not.
Very simple, but
I didn't think it was very. I consider myself somewhat intelligent,
well,
despite popular
and I'm
belief,
sure
and it was difficult.
Michelle's going to cover this, but sometimes people fall in love with what something looks like, right? But they never think of school systems. They never think of all those things that may be somewhere down the road
that are important, that
so
play into the
I
factors.
think that's why having, as with Michelle, an associate broker, in your court is just, so valuable, and probably will save you a lot of mistakes.
well, Phil, I wish I had you every morning next to me when I get up for all those compliments. And cheer me on when I get out there and show buyers the home.
Well, I'll give you my cell phone number. Just give a call, and I'll give you a
Thank you.
rah-rah in the morning.
Thank you.
So before we get into the questions, if each of you ladies can tell us a little bit about yourself, a quick origin story of Michelle.
Oh, me? I'm starting? Okay. So I used to teach high school. I was a high school teacher, and I did love teaching students. But my background was always sales. Before teaching, I was in the sales industry. I did it part-time while I was teaching, and this is a full-time job. I totally enjoy helping people in their journey to make the biggest investment of their lives, which is buying their first home. That's their first true investment. Yeah.
So we'll get back to all the mistakes people make, but first we're going to let Alex take the microphone for a second. So talk a little bit about your origin story. What got you into the lending industry at Empire State Bank?
So a couple of years ago, I decided I wanted to change after being in the medical field, and I decided to take the route of mortgages. And
From medical to mortgage. I like that.
Yeah. And definitely a different industry, but I like being able to help people get into their first homes, walk them through the whole process, really hold their hand through it. And there's nothing like delivering the news, clear to close. Oh, everybody's happy to hear those
the
words.
Best. The
So
best
I'm
news.
happy that I get to deliver that.
Clear to close.
Everyone's waiting for her.
CTC, right? CTC on the
CTC,
email, CTC
yeah.
on the text.
It's the biggest question. When is it happening?
When is it happening?
Right.
So understanding you both come from different industries, I guess we can lead the conversation however you see fit, Phil. But sort of one of you could jump in and pick what you think the biggest obstacle is in each
So I
respective
think
place.
what may be helpful, I think starting with Michelle, and maybe, because that's where the prospective purchaser is going to go first.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe explain the choice of picking the right person, maybe
Right.
where they work and the resources, and how that process begins, because if I have it correctly, at some part in that process early on, you're going to go to someone like Alex and say, Alex, I need a pre-qual or a pre-approval, and we'll talk about what those are. But then it comes back to you to find the home that fits not only for what they need and what they desire, but what they can afford.
Exactly.
So there's a couple of ingredients into buying that home.
You know, it depends. Some people go right to the bank, and those are very organized, detailed people that we all love, and they go to the bank and
Let's
they
assume
say,
that's not most people.
yeah, and that's not most. But some people say, hey, I think I need a pre-qual, and they'll go to the bank. And then there's others who try to do it on their own for a little bit, and they just go into open houses, take a look, and they say, I want to buy this $1 million house. And then they finally call a realtor, and that's where I come in. And it's important to have a team in place, your lender, your inspector, your title company. It's important to have that collaboration.
Your attorney.
Your attorney,
Yeah, right.
all with
Right.
us, right? But that buyer doesn't know that yet. Having a pre-qual really is the path, the journey to the home.
Yeah.
Without it, I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Of course.
So, Alex, why don't you explain what a pre-qual is?
When I issue a pre-qual for somebody, we go through what they can afford, whether it's monthly, how much money they want to put down, how much money they're comfortable with putting down, saving money for a rainy day. If there's, something goes wrong with the house, they have to have money stored. So we really go over their entire budget with my initial phone call. And I always tell them, old school, take out a piece of paper, write down what your bills are, what your expenses are, and how much your income is, and see where that lies. And we can work on figuring out how much you're comfortable with monthly spending. And in order to get the pre-qual, we do 2 years tax returns, 2 years
Important to know.
W-2s,
See, we need to know these things.
2 months bank statements, and we need to know where the money is coming from. We always have to have a paper trail. 2 months of your pay stubs also that we look at to make sure that you're working. And then there are other alternatives for buyers that are self-employed that we don't need their tax returns. So there is another route that they can go. We can do bank statements, we can do profit and loss statements. So, we just want everybody to know that even if you are self-employed, there is a way for them to buy a home.
Right.
What can people do to streamline that, though? And I'm asking for people who aren't
Have a
that smart, like
conversation
me.
with your lender first.
But how do you streamline the process, and how long does it take to get a pre-qualification?
I mean, we could do it the same day.
Yes,
Okay,
really quickly.
same day. I'm just asking.
Yeah,
Some people are afraid to go to the lender
Yes.
first.
Yeah.
So they come to me first, and we have initial conversations, and I tell them, listen, it only takes a day to get a pre-qual.
Okay.
Because they're afraid they may be locked into that person.
Of course.
And these are all misconceptions that the buyer may have. But having a communication, knowledge is power, right? So I tell someone, let's not worry. If you want to go out first and take a look, we can. But it's like window shopping. Why window shop?
Right.
I like to know if I could afford that
Right.
Of
or
course.
not. So
So what that pre-qual is doing, it's determining what the lender can lend.
Right.
Got it.
That is a piece. The other piece is how much do you have to put down? Do you have closing costs?
Right.
And Alex kind of alluded to it where she said, well, there's unexpected expenses. You should have some sort of reserves for those things. So once you're pre-qualed, now it goes back to Michelle.
So it's like getting a note from your dad that says, "I can
Right.
buy this house."
yeah.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
it's saying, okay, I can afford
Right.
a $700,000 mortgage,
Right.
and I have X to put down. Now comes back to Michelle. She knows the price range.
Right.
Right. So some people hide that.
Right.
They hide that pre-qual. Yeah, I have that pre-qual, but they don't want to show me because they feel like I'm going to go to the top of that budget.
Right.
And I tell them, listen, for example, we have a $700,000, pre-qual letter. That doesn't mean, first, people don't know what that home is at $700,000.
Right.
So they could say, I want a 3-bedroom, basement, finished, detached, and that whole 9
Not in
yards.
Staten Island for
Not in
some
no.
Arizona.
So they have that, everyone has a mandatory list, and then they have their wish list.
Right.
So you want that garage, but you really only need a driveway, right? The most important is location at all. That is number one for resale, for anything is location. Where do you want to be? These are the questions that we ask our clients is, what are you looking for? is this a home you see yourself forever? Because unfortunately, first-time home buyers think that this is going to be their forever home. And usually it isn't.
At
So
least I was different. I thought I was going to buy mine and get out quickly.
Well, and I
I'm
think-
still there. I haven't
Right.
gotten out yet. I'm trying my hardest, but I haven't gotten out yet.
I want them to buy so
Right.
that they
Right.
have equity. And, you
Right.
know, so if you're waiting for that, you know, that home, it's like the Prince Charming when you're a kid. You go, oh, I'm going to find my Prince Charming. He's going to have the castle and the horses.
A blue jacket and open collar.
The whole
Yeah.
thing. You know, I tell them, if this house checks 8 out of the 10, and then you found your dream home.
Right.
So like other factors, as Michelle is saying, is other factors would be, do you want to be close to public transportation? Do you want to be in a certain school district?
Right.
You know, maybe some people are looking at public schools. Maybe some people looking at private schools. Staten Island's unique because we don't have that much public transportation, so it's either express bus or is it okay to live all the way out in Tottenville when you work on the other side of Brooklyn?
Right.
So all of those things go into that equation.
It's not 15 minutes like everyone
Right.
says.
No,
Ah, it's
nothing.
15
Nothing's
minutes.
15
Anymore.
minutes.
So, but I do. You said something about Prince Charming. I got to tell you, my first experience of buying was a condo on Staten Island too many years ago, when 3-year adjustables were 13.5%. Okay, and me and my wife, we went to a condo development on Staten Island that was being sold. It was new construction by the builder, right? And we went into the model. Oh my God, we fell in love with it. We fell in love with it, right? So we wind up purchasing it. And then I think this probably we shouldn't have done that. We used to break in to the ours being built. So I learned how to use a credit card to
You want to make
move
sure
things.
things work.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we wanted to go see our unit, right? Because it was built. It was pretty much closed in. Maybe it didn't have the kitchen yet. And we go in and we're standing there and we look at each other and we said, did we buy a shoebox? Oh. Okay. And we looked at each other and we said, like, it's so small. It's got to be smaller than the model. It wasn't. It was mirrors
Okay.
and IKEA furniture.
There you go.
And that's why you needed a good realtor.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Staging. There's something
That's
to it.
exactly right. So it was set up to look so much bigger. So
You could have always reneged on the contract and said someone broke into this home. I don't want it.
I'm a pretty smart guy, so I decorated it exactly the
Oh,
way
there
the
you go.
model was,
Yeah.
and I had a much bigger condo.
And you know
Oh,
what?
there you go.
But you still bought.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And you sold it. So
Sold it, and at that time had a
Location
lot of
was
equity.
important, right.
Was a lot of equity was built up quickly. Inflation was crazy
Right.
back then. Bought a house in Eltonville, a 2-family, and then finally had the house that I'm in now that we built. There are many things that home brings, right?
Right.
So it brings shelter,
Right.
right? It brings protection. It brings a place to raise your family. And if you're fortunate, it's an investment at the same time.
Right. That's why I'm saying I tell our new buyers, if we can't find your dream home at this price point, and you need to live here for reasons of schools, doctors, being close to family, work, whatever home that we're looking for, I'm going to try to guide you to get the right investment for you to be safe in your home. It's a great place to live for 5, 10, 12 years, and that home could be an investment or, you know, a good resale later on. That's what's important, to open and guide them, because it's not just one direction. It's not just that forever home. It could be many other things.
So what I hear both of you starting to say is the key is to have a professional that is just not looking for a transaction.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Right.
Okay?
Which is hard to find. Let's call it
Okay,
what it is.
no, I mean, at the end of the day, so you need to seek out that associate broker, that lender, that isn't just putting a price tag on a sales price.
Right.
Right.
Because even certainly in the banking business, the way we operate it, is there are many times we'll do a transaction that maybe we could have made a lot more money, but it's a relationship that we have created for the next 50 years, along with their friends and their family.
All right.
That'll be for
Of course.
us.
That's it.
So it's in that process of making those choices, you need to seek out, and we happen to have two of them here, seek out individuals that build relationships, not transactions. Because you're already saying, wow, you could buy this now, but, we could do things in the future. It's not like you bought the home for the rest of your life.
Right. Or buying that house, that semi or that townhome that's all fixed up. And I tell them, I say, you don't need to buy this one.
Especially now, it's $1 million.
Yeah, don't buy. You don't have to buy this one if you have someone handy in your home. Let's buy something else. Because when I work as a buyer's agent, I'm not there for that one sale.
Right.
I'm working with them to give them the best of whatever they're looking for. If you're working as a listing agent, then that's the house. This is the creme de la creme of all sales.
But it's also, you're educating them.
Right.
On what they can do in the future and how,
Well, what their vision is.
Right.
Right. So, and usually if they're partners, one may have a different idea than the other, and there's compromise that goes with that. But where they see themselves in 5, 6, 7 years, and that's how and how much could they afford?
I mean, even when it comes to pre-approving somebody, if we pull the credit and say it's not ready, their credit's not ready yet,
right.
we work with them to get them to that point. So it may not be yes today, but maybe it's yes 6 months from now. And you hold their hand and you teach them, what to do with their credit and how to get it better and things of that sort. So you're really educating them, and people appreciate that.
Right. I mean, I have, buyers who are with me 8 months before we start looking.
Right.
Because their credit might
God
not
bless
be.
you.
But
You're like
I have it
therapists
too.
and-
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but you say this is what we could afford now.
Right.
So if you fix your credit, if you add someone on as a co-signer, all
Absolutely.
these other options that you speak to a lender with, and that's why you work as a team.
I agree. It's important.
You could do this now, or we could be here later. And let's not just be afraid of the rate so much
Right.
all the time.
Right. Michelle, you mentioned something that actually will educate me. You said you work a lot as a buyer's agent, right? Representing the buyer, right? Now, I'm sure if you get a listing, you're going to take a listing. You're not going to, or do you focus mainly?
So I'm primarily a listing agent.
Okay.
I work on referrals for buyers. So if a buyer, usually someone who's worked with me says, work with Michelle. She takes her time. Like some buyers are afraid to work with agents when they're buying a house because they're like, oh, no, then, she's going to rush me and I'm stuck with this person. And I meet them at an open house and I say, listen, 3, 4 months from now when you can't find anything, give me a call. Because after they realize that there's so much more than just looking at a house and playing Vanna White, right?
Right.
They realize that a buyer's agent, a good buyer's agent who is referred to you by friends and family or maybe on this show, who knows, right?
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Is someone who really takes the opportunity with you to be an expert. They consult you. I consider myself a realtor consultant. That's what I call myself instead of a buyer's agent, because our process could take 3 months or it could take 8 months to a year because it depends where you are in the process. Because some people go, oh, I want to buy a house. And then I say, okay, no, you're really not there.
Right.
We still have to be at this point. Where are you? Have you worked at your job for at least 2 years? All these things matter. So they need a consultant. So when I say I'm a consultant, they feel a lot better. Free, too.
Right.
I'm a free consultant.
Free consultant, I like that. So we're going to ask each of you respectively, but what are some of the biggest hurdles that you see in all of your years of doing this with first-time homebuyers? Something that we can glean from this episode that someone watching going, oh, now that I know that Alexandra said this, I'm going to have it ready, or I'm going to have it scanned, or what's the biggest hurdle you're seeing people face?
I think people are afraid to ask questions. They're embarrassed.
Okay.
I have a lot of buyers that, I feel silly asking you this, and I said, but don't feel silly. If it's something that you don't know, that's what we're here to educate you for. So I think that's, a common problem that we see a lot.
Be open, be honest, and ask.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a silly question.
I agree. And communication is key, like Michelle is saying, working as a team to have everybody in place. We can work together to get you into that house.
It's true. There's so many times, realtor and lender call each other at a showing or if someone, got a promotion, you were so excited and say,
Right.
hey, maybe we're at this point.
Now I can
or
buy a bigger house.
I can,
But it's true.
all these things, really matter. It's a collaboration. A realtor isn't just the person who's taking you and making an appointment for a house.
Right.
There's so many behind the scene things that we do when we find the house finally, after all this, right? After the pre-qual and getting you the right price. But I have to say, if there's one thing I want to say is that buyers need to be honest.
Yes.
Honest to the lender, honest to the realtor, because I sometimes feel like I say, please treat me as your rabbi, your priest. Just
Right.
tell me the truth.
Right.
Like, what can you really afford? What are we really doing? Where do you want to be?
Right.
If we start out like that, we save 6 months of just, losing time.
It's true. I mean, I've had borrowers that switch jobs in the process, quit jobs. So the bank is like, how are you going to pay
Quit
for your
jobs.
mortgage?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I had that like a week before closing
Listen,
once.
no matter how naive you are, even I know that's not a good thing.
And the buyer never told me that she quit her job. And I said, but we do a verification of appointment before you close.
And that didn't go through.
That didn't
I
go
was gonna
through.
say, there's nothing
but,
you could do.
But Michelle's right. You
No
have to
magic
be
wand.
honest.
Right.
We could try to figure out a solution
or
for you.
ask that question. Right. Ask
Yeah.
the question.
Just-
Something came up. And
Something came up.
What is it going to mean?
We're going to find out.
Right.
Right.
But, as a realtor as well, like, if you could afford $800,000, but you're seeing $500,000, trust me, I know what the $500,000 house is. After our conversation, I'm going to show you.
Right.
You're not going to find this little thing. It's not going to come out,
Yeah. That diamond in the rough doesn't exist the way it used to.
Listen, I do get, because of where I am in my career, I do get some off-market properties. I as top producers in the industry, we do speak to one another and respect each other, and we give each other first dibs on certain properties.
Right.
We help one another because we know that we work with great lenders, we have great lawyers, and we're going to get the deal done.
Right.
So another realtor wants to work with a realtor who has that reputation. So buyers who work with us get that, expertise. But let's not waste time. Just
Right.
tell us the truth. If you have cash under the table, it's not going to help. The bank wants to know where this
Right.
money's coming from.
Right.
So we have to know everything.
So you can't just drop money.
You can't
off
just
in
drop
garbage
money
bags
and
anymore.
say, yeah, I'm
Can't do
good.
that.
Yeah,
I got it.
I got it.
Jimmy!
That's why we ask for your bank statements up front to see where your money is.
Right.
That's not you could still buy your house cash.
Of course.
Right. But we
you gotta see
need to
where it's coming
Exactly. And another thing I want to say is that, a seller, when they're listing a house, they say, oh, there's so much cash out there,
Right.
Only a certain demographic has cash, or this only has cash. Everyone does 1031 exchanges all the time. That's cash. That's
So
what
educate us. What is it? Go ahead.
that's what I'm saying.
I've heard of it. I don't know what it is. Go ahead.
Well, a seller believes that someone's going to come with a briefcase and say, I got
I'm
cash
one of those
from this
guys. I believe
country.
that. I
This
believe that.
came from here. Here's the cash. Cash is also from your best friend.
Right.
Could sell his 3-family house in Brooklyn or the Bronx and need to do that transaction at a certain amount of time, and there's your cash. So,
Yeah, so, it's funny. I've been in this business too long.
right.
Back many, many years ago, cash was a word used, was accepted, it was verifiable cash. So when you talk about a 1031, which is coming from one property to roll into another property, mainly on commercial, unless it's rented. It could be an investment
Yes,
rental property,
true.
correct. That was very, very acceptable. Today, cash is someone shows up
With a suitcase.
$800,000 in a
Wow,
suitcase.
I want him to come to my house. I'll give you my address.
Now, it's the same cash,
Right.
but it's not verifiable cash.
Right.
And in today's world, and being in the banking business, we know this very, very well, all cash is reported.
Right.
Okay? So when someone shows up, we've had closings where they come with a counting machine, a cash counting machine.
It's my kind of closing. Take
No.
it out.
Well, that closing never happened
Yeah,
in our
right.
bank. Yeah, okay? It never happened in our bank,
Never
okay?
happened.
So, today it could be different,
Right.
okay, where cash is real cash. But, people have to understand it's not
It's not like that.
it's
Right.
not like that.
And they think it is.
And
It's
a
like-
seller
We need a paper trail.
that she
It's
used the
fooled.
term.
Yeah, it's
right, she
fooled
used
by
the-
this expression.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but she also used the term under the table,
Right.
which was a banking term, not a banking term, transaction term for many, many years. And literally what that meant was you were buying the house on paper for one price, but the difference went
Right.
under the table in that cash. Well, today attorneys
Won't do
are
that.
responsible
Yeah.
for reporting all of that. If a seller finds a way to accept cash, try to figure out how you're going to get rid of it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Because
Where
when
you
you
put
come
it.
into any bank
Right.
with a lot of cash,
Where'd you get it from?
You're getting reported.
You just have to
Okay.
retire somewhere in
Yeah.
Cuba.
Yes,
It'll
yes.
just disappear.
Shoe
That's
boxes,
it.
mattresses,
You gotta go
ceilings.
somewhere.
Come on.
Don't know anyone.
The old-
just
the old
leave.
way.
Right.
So I think those are getting a lot less than in
Oh,
my day,
100%.
okay, because there is a lot of scrutiny to that. But going back to the process and stuff, we mentioned other parties that are important, right? So another important party is your attorney, right? So your attorney plays a couple of different roles for you. It's just not a contract, it's an advisor.
Exactly.
Okay. I don't think in residential you see it as much unless you're buying a house next to a gas station.
No.
Right, right,
Believe it or not,
because-
though, they do.
The attorneys involved
They
a lot.
do a lot. The
Yeah,
attorneys
yeah,
do a lot
yeah,
because, again, communication.
Absolutely. I mean, if there's an issue with the inspection or
The lender's
appraisal,
constantly.
we
We're
have to
all
go
on the
back to the
same
attorney to negotiate.
email,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So we're all on the same email and we're all helping each other out, saying, "Hey,
Right.
where'd
So-
this guy ghost us for a minute? What happened?"
Right. So that attorney's advising how to get into a contract and to negotiate a deal, but it's advising a lot of other things.
Right.
It's advising why you need a title policy. Okay. They're advising that there could be an environmental concern. Should you be doing an environmental report?
Yes.
They mentioned about a home inspector coming in. Well, that's someone that's going to come in. Every home is going to have some issues.
Right.
But what is the extent of the issues? And as a homeowner, it's important to know going in that the roof only has 2 more years.
Right.
Because in 2 years, you're going to be spending a lot of money. The heating system has a life left of this. The air conditioner. So the major components of a house, it's good to know. That doesn't mean that if the heating system's got to be changed in 5 years, that could be acceptable to you. But you know that you need to start providing
Going
for
into
that.
it. Right.
Right.
And that's why a realtor is important as well, because some houses, already have that price point, considering that the roof has to go and the heating is this certain age, and then you'll have the buyer who says, "Oh, now let's take off $50,000."
Right.
Not in this, we already, that realtor who listed this property already is listing this price for this reason. That's why we're here.
Right.
So we cannot,
Right.
X for a new roof
Right.
or a new heating system unless,
Right.
this is very low inventory right now on Staten Island. And if you get a house for a great price, there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I like how you
And
intimated
there's
that.
nothing
There's a
wrong with
reason for
A
it.
reason. You
Kind of
may
saying
need-
it without saying it.
if the boiler works, if the
Right.
heating works, I tell them it's the heart. When is it going to go? I don't know. You
Right.
know?
There you go.
I got it's good. It could take.
Day
I
after
don't know.
closing.
Yeah, it could.
Day after
But
closing.
that's why you got to make sure you have money for a rainy day.
Didn't you have that?
That happened to me. It's all right.
Didn't you have it? Right, just
Day after
recently.
closing.
Day
Day
after
after
closing
closing.
is what? You
You turn the heat on, have all the ducts clean, all the stuff comes out. Guy says thermostat's broken. Send the HVAC guy. HVAC guy calls and goes, "Yeah, you need a whole new HVAC."
Isn't that great?
I said, "I closed yesterday. Like today's Saturday. I closed Friday."
But that inspector, when it was
He's
working,
like, well,
it was
you need
working.
it.
Yeah.
It was working. I called the inspector. He goes, "Well, listen, we turned it on."
That
I
poor
said,
guy's
"Thanks.
like,
Yeah.
I
Thanks."
blame you.
Like we turned it on, but irrelevant. But to your point, yes, it's very important.
But that's the important thing
Right.
is that as someone purchasing, you got to know
correct.
You
that
have to know.
these
right?
are things that are going to be part of owning a home, right? The refrigerator is going to go. There's always something. But I always say this way, when you know or expect, it's not bad. It's the unexpected.
That's why you always expect
Which is
the
going
worst,
to happen
no?
anyway.
Well, you're true.
Because
That's
when
true.
you fix
Rule of
that, something
Right.
else is broken.
Right, right.
Oh, what did I
Yeah,
find
yeah.
behind this wall?
Yeah.
So are you
Jesus.
also licensed in Jersey?
No, I have a team in Jersey with
Okay.
me.
I'm only asking because, to Phil's point, so
Yes.
I've bought 2 homes in Staten Island, the one I
Right.
currently live in that I love, but I recently purchased a home with my wife
I
at the show.
saw. Beautiful.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Jersey compared to New York, night and day.
Yes.
So
the whole
talk a little bit
process
about that
is-
process, because there are many, many people in Staten Island who have multiple homes and who practice in both areas or
Well,
have teams that practice.
Right. So I don't practice in New Jersey, so I leave it to my team who does that. It's a completely different contractual. They do their inspection after, I believe, than before. And
So
Yeah.
I mean, I also
Very
like
quick.
Anthony made.
it's very quick.
right. It's quick. It is quite different.
Yeah. Just as painful, though.
Well, also, and I
Fairness.
think this has to do with the way the market works. But I know in my transaction was you submitted a bid. You didn't know if you got the house, and they take all the bids, and then they tell you who got it.
Oh, nice.
So you have
Yeah.
no idea
That's too
whether you were the
nerve-wracking.
highest, lowest, why they chose you. I remember when I was buying, this is about 3.5 years ago, right before rates were going up, every time I would say, oh, I want to put a bid, they would say, the house is sold.
Gone. Yeah, it's still.
Yeah, it's
still
very
like
fast.
It's still like that.
very
I'd like to
fast,
buy it.
yes.
It's gone.
Okay? So we found one. My realtor called me down. He said, Phil, you got to get down there because this is coming on the market right now. You got to get this one. So I ran down. It was freezing, I remember. And I said to her, well, yeah, I'll pay asking. She goes, no, you're not paying asking. Stupid me.
No, but this is
Oh,
what you
something
think.
less? She goes, Phil, you got to put it over asking. Otherwise, you don't even have a chance. I got fortunate. I got it.
You listened.
I listened.
Yes.
Okay, but I also spent the time, and I'm kind of,
Right, you wanted to see on your own.
I knew all the money I had to put into the house.
Right.
Okay, so it's a process, and like I said to you, make sure
it's gonna be
know the
process.
bulkhead, right? Know your bulkhead because
I only knew it because you said it.
right because I knew my bulkhead had only 5 years left.
The realtor thought
So
I knew
I-
what I was talking about. I had no idea what I was talking about.
So whether
this is a good
whether
bulkhead.
it's a Jersey house by the water or Staten Island, it's what we're really saying is spend the time with the professionals, listen to their advice, so you at least go into something knowing what it's all about.
Right. I mean, so I do a lot of Brooklyn and Staten Island because they
Same thing.
kind of mesh
Same
together. And I'm a local because I lived in Brooklyn. I still do a lot in Brooklyn. My community's there, and here on Staten Island. So that's the reason I don't sell in Jersey personally, is because I feel that you really need to know where you sell.
Agreed. Yeah.
And I think it's important that sometimes I find, so because I work in Brooklyn, I have my Brooklyn customers, but sometimes I have a Brooklyn realtor who has nothing to do with Staten Island, comes over here, has no idea what the area is about. And I'm like, oh, I'm selling Richmond Town. Yeah. I was over there I can't even mention because, whatever.
Right.
But apples and oranges, it's a completely different place.
Right.
So how are you advising that that family to buy that house or that investor to buy that property? You really can't if you're not from, if you're not knowing the businesses around you, the schools, how long a commute is. It's all very important.
You got to be invested in the community, which
You
is
have
one
to
of
be
the
invested.
recurring themes of this podcast and web series. And that's
Yes.
one of the reasons you're here.
Oh,
Because
thank
think about it. There aren't many banks who are going to take time to produce a series that highlights all the good in the community, that highlights how to make people listening and watching better and more effective at things like buying a home. But to the point of being involved in the community, that's what Empire State Bank does. And that's how they exemplify how important it is to know and be involved. And they have branches in Brooklyn, just saying. Wanted to slide that one in
Yes,
there, too.
yes.
You keep
It's
saying
important
Brooklyn.
to say it because
right.
it
You're
is-
saying
it-
Brooklyn.
it's a
Just wanna-
bridge. It's a
Right.
bridge.
Just want to slide that one in there. There is, branches out in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Shout out to Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's a bridge, just like the realtor's a bridge to the lender, to the
Right.
attorney. And it's important that we all are invested in the community that we sell.
Talk about that clear to close, because you opened and everybody's eyes popped out. It was great when you said it.
The
So
best
go
news
from but
ever.
how long does it typically take?
So that's a buyer's question, right? They call and they say, oh, I'm looking, how long does it take? Well, I say, finding the house could take, next week, or it could take
Right.
a year from now.
Right.
But then when you're there, it could take 2 months. And then that's when the lawyer comes in for that little extension sometimes, right?
Yeah.
That extra 30 days. we don't want to tell them
I mean,
right away.
sometimes the buyer's ready, the seller's
Seller's
not. Or
Yeah,
vice
so it could
versa,
be
so-
60 to 90 days is a typical.
But that's realistic. So that's
Yeah,
a
that's
good,
realistic.
Right.
and that's fair to know, right? That's a fair
Right.
thing to know. 60 to 90 days to close.
And it really depends on the discipline and how, organized
Absolutely.
that buyer is.
If we ask for a document, you get it back to us the same day, next day. But if it's weeks on end, we're waiting for documents to
Right.
come back, it delays your process.
And that's when I call and say, what is going on? What is taking so long?
Now talk about technology for a little bit, because I know I just did this.
Can we go back
Oh,
to
sure.
clear
Clear
to
to
close?
close. Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
go
great
back to clear to
topic.
close.
Clear to close, because I don't think we said it.
Yeah,
So
I was excited. I forgot about it.
it's when the lender, Alex. Well, Alex will have part of the process of issuing a commitment.
Right.
Okay. And that commitment will be conditioned on a number of things that may be more documents or whatever. It also will wait for a title policy to come in. So your title policy is basically searching that property that the people that are selling it are the rightful people to sell.
Oh, yes.
That's important.
And
That's important.
there's stories on that.
I was saying,
right?
but that's important.
I'm sure,
Makes
right?
sense.
Yes.
Right?
On that.
Right. What do you mean? This was your mom and Don's house. What
Yeah.
are you selling it for? Right?
There was there's a show on that with the King of Queens when the father was sitting there and
Arthur. Gotta love
Arthur
him.
was sitting
Arthur.
there and the kids went out on a holiday and he's there showing the house. It's just reminded me of that.
What it also does is it searches that property for what liens, taxes that may be against it, because those liens need to be satisfied. Those liens could certainly be a mortgage
Right.
that the seller has, but it could be judgments. It could be a lot of other things. So that title policy will come in, and then the buyer's attorney will work with the seller's attorney to clear those liens. The mortgage is the easiest. It's paid off at closing from the proceeds of the sale.
Right, there could be a sidewalk lien,
Right,
whatever lien there
right,
is,
right.
which again sometimes the realtor has
You have
no
no idea.
idea.
No
Why
idea.
didn't you tell us about these?
Right,
Oh, I
right.
thought they would just disappear.
Right. So once that title is, I'll call it clear,
Right.
and the lender has received in all the other conditions of the commitment,
Right.
then the lender issues a clear to close. When you have a clear to close,
Oh,
They
happiest moment.
say-
That's when I go.
Right?
then they say,
You can breathe a
wow,
little.
we're going to get this deal closed.
Get the
I'm finally
champagne.
going to get paid, unless
champagne.
we're going to
Right,
fight
right,
over a refrigerator or something,
right.
and it's over.
Right, which happens.
Which
Yeah,
happens all the time.
Get the
It
champagne,
happens.
pop it open, and go into the house.
So that's the clear to close. It's the music to the
Right.
whole deal.
Yeah.
It's that you know it happened.
The lender is willing to lend the money,
Right.
and it's clear.
Right.
We'll keep
So
the
yeah,
money
there's
to
all
that guy.
that. There's the appraiser before that too. We forgot
right.
about him.
Yeah, right. The appraiser.
Appraiser.
Sometimes you'll find where an appraiser, and I'll say they're more the exception, I believe, where they'll find something. The appraiser may point out that someone's shed is over the property line.
Right.
Okay,
Oh,
which is another thing that has to be.
And
Or it could be a
again with the
safety issue.
attorney
Right,
and the
right,
title.
right,
and
They're
right,
missing
all
a
that stuff.
railing.
So
There's so many people interested in the buyer not getting the home, is what it seems like. Like, there's just like, I want to buy a house.
Yeah,
Well,
but you have a
can't,
good
can't.
team behind you
Yes.
that will
Yes.
help you get
Yeah.
there.
And then
Help you
and
navigate.
there's a lot of fear sometimes during this whole thing, like, oh
Right.
my God, why is the survey, different than what's the
Right.
property line? What am I going to do with the neighbor? There's a lot that goes,
Right.
and so the journey could be,
right. So
emotional during the
so
whole
for
time.
example, and I will say every lender could approach this very different. It's up to the lender. But we had a transaction where we had two houses, and there was a little strip of land in the middle that we weren't sure who owned it.
No one owned it.
Okay, so we were holding this loan in portfolio, so I don't want to say it's easier for do because it's totally our decision. So we called the appraiser and we said, if you back out the value of that land, what is it worth? And we're still able to make the loan. Okay,
So who mows the lawn on that piece?
that's a good question. The bank's probably going to wind up having to do that.
That's it.
Okay.
It's overgrown as
Alex,
we speak.
what are you doing? What are you doing?
Overgrown as we speak.
Yeah. So that's the clear to close.
It's all fixable. Listen, everything gets done.
Yeah, everything, and we're hitting on a lot of the exceptions, okay? Which it's important for everybody to understand, but I think the majority of the deals usually
Don't
go
involve any of
very,
that.
very smooth.
Right.
Yes.
If you got all the professionals.
So the technology portion, because I'm going back to you, I'm going to lean on you heavy, only because I know that
Oh,
there's a
sorry for you.
lot. Well, no, because there's
Why are
a
you picking
lot.
on her?
Because there's
I
so
hope I have
much.
the answers for this.
No, it's not going to be a hard question. It's just going to be the technology question. So you, the lender, require so much more than she, the realtor, requires to buy a home. So on the,
Well, we're lending the money, we have to.
I agree. You got to vet everything. But from a technology standpoint, what sort of interface and portal does Empire State Bank use to ease, the uploading or the reception, the dissemination of documents from the buyer? And how do you interact? I'm sure you have a portal. You have a place where people are doing this.
I mean, we have a secure website that people can upload through
Perfect.
share file.
And then you're able to, when it's up.
Yeah,
know
we
when
get
you've
an email.
received it.
We get
So
an
it
email
streamlines the
confirmation that
process.
something comes in, or they can just email it. Sometimes I get it text messages. Whatever is easier for the buyer. I still have buyers that come in and I make copies of their documents.
Well, I mean, that's
They
few
could
and
do
far
that
between.
too.
But
I
of
had it
course.
recently.
But most people are using the portal, right? Upload, download, conversating with you, figuring out how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's good to know because,
And then when you're doing mortgages, and I won't say 100%, but we certainly do. So when we're doing a residential owner-occupied mortgage, where most buyers want a 30-year fixed rate, banks typically don't hold that loan in portfolio anymore. Okay? So, and it could happen various ways, but a lot of times, or most of the times, Alex is working with another party that's actually going to purchase the loan.
got it.
So she'll bring it into us, but then she has their portal that she will work with them to.
So there's a lot of things behind the scenes that the
Oh,
buyer
Yeah,
doesn't
that
even know.
most people
There's a
don't
lot,
know
but
about.
they'll never know that.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I would think most purchasers don't really care.
No,
As
as
long
long
as
as it
their
gets
loan
done.
closes,
Right,
they
as
don't
long as
care.
it's there. And I mean, and those people that have mortgages, I mean, the mortgage seems to travel to 15 different people before you wind up paying
Yep.
it off,
Right.
right?
Always.
Right? There's always somebody else you got to mail a check to. Because basically, without getting so detailed, is those mortgages are packaged and sold into securities.
Okay.
Okay. So there's two values, the value of the loan and the value of the servicing.
Okay.
Servicing has value. And that's sold off and traded depending between. And
It's a lot of bank talk.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's above my pay grade. I was just curious if we had a way to upload documents. That's all I wanted to
figured
know.
you would go from being a high school teacher,
Right.
okay, to associate broker. I figured we'd give you a banking
Yeah,
career
yeah, that's
soon.
good. Why not?
So what are the biggest mistakes you see a first-time home buyer make? And you can be brutally honest, because the idea is to help educate. If we can take some sound bites or highlights or reels from this episode and put them out on social, put them on the YouTube channel, and there's something that someone could go, aha, you know what? Michelle said that, or Alexandria said this, and I'm ready.
The social media, like TikTok and all this stuff, it's good to a degree, but we really need to seek out professionals. So we can't live in a little bit of the arrogance of doing it on their own or waiting until you think you're ready, because you may not, right?
Right.
So it's nice to, if you say, oh, I think I want to buy a house, to go to some open houses, take a look. But again, you're just going through the motions,
Right.
but it's not getting you anywhere. Right. So you're standing, your car's not moving. There's no gas. You're still in
And
the
that's the
parking lot.
value of a realtor.
Right. But I feel like it's better to know than to not know. So I'd rather, come to me or come to Alex, speak to us, have a conversation. I don't harass people. I just want to say it. I just don't.
I'm surprised at that.
If you come to my open house and you write your name down, I say to them, listen, you like this house? I'll call you back. If I'll call you, after I call you, you're not interested in the house, it's your choice whether to use me or not. I hope you do. I'll let you know what I've done. My niche is this area. But if you still want to look around, then you could call me anytime as your consultant. Because I feel that people need to have that relationship.
Right.
It's
Of
important.
course.
They need trust. And trust is hard in New York especially.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I trust you right now. I'm standing right across from you.
I trust is hard. And you know what? Also, they feel like they have to pay us. That's
Well, but
another
in
thing that
retrospect,
happened with this
everybody
buyer's
needs to be-
agency thing.
Everybody needs to
and-
be paid for a service provided. So
Yeah,
No, but there's
yeah.
that whole thing that happened, and social media again saying that you have to pay the buyer. So they're afraid to speak to me because they feel like I'm
Right.
going to charge them.
So Michelle, here's what I say, and it's, I don't spend a lot of time on the residential side. I spend a lot of more time getting involved on the business side, but it's the same principles, okay? You can go on the internet and you could probably purchase a home, you could get a loan, but what you're missing is the experience that these people have.
oh, 100%.
And I know, especially when I'm a business client, okay, and I sell very much the way both of you sell, okay? I just help people,
right.
Right.
okay? Whether I get the transaction, I've helped a lot of people that I've never gotten the transaction, and that's okay,
Right.
okay? But when people have the faith in you, the experience, so they have the experience of all the pitfalls, all the things to watch out for, all the questions on, are you buying the right home? You're not going to get that on the internet,
Right. The chatbot doesn't know.
okay?
Or that prequal from these
That
internet
prequal.
companies. Oh my goodness!
I mean,
they say
all-
I have a prequel, and it's like from what are those?
all our buyers have our cell phone numbers.
Yeah.
You can call
Your
us and
ce-
text us at any
exactly.
time.
Well,
You're
go
not-
back to that. What
you're
is
not-
this prequal?
Yeah,
into
you know
the-
what?
You could
Online,
do it
what's-
online.
yeah,
so
what's
you're not
those-
really talking to a person like
Right.
us. You're doing everything through the computer.
So that would mean to me that it might not be real, though. So that
Exactly.
might
I
create,
don't. I
But
don't.
some
creating
people-
false hope among buyers as
Right.
well as the
It's
industry.
also
no?
like like those credit scores you get online
Right,
as well.
it's not a
Again,
real-
those
Right.
aren't real.
They're not real.
No.
So it's really goes back to how we began. It's the largest purchase you will probably make in your lifetime, and not to be surrounded by people that have the experience. It's the biggest mistake you can make.
It's unfortunate if someone worked with a realtor that was inexperienced or a lender who didn't care. But customer service is what makes referrals, and that's important to look up people's reviews, the show, and see who connects with you, because it's also connecting with the buyer
Right.
and the seller. You could be the greatest star, but you don't have that feeling. So you need to trust and shop around. Shop which realtor you like. Connection is there.
Interesting. So before we close, where can we learn more about you? Social handles. Where are we going to find you?
Oh, and that's my catchphrase.
Social handles?
No.
Oh, I'll get you. I'll get you a better one than that.
You know where to find me, and you find me on Instagram, and I started staying current with Michelle Nicolo, and I'm at Robert DeFalco Realty.
Perfect. And where can we learn more about you?
So through the bank, at Empire State Bank, or on my Instagram, Alexandria_mortgage, or on Facebook, Alexandria Vale.
Perfect. And Phil, can you close us out?
Well, first of all, I enjoyed this very much. I've learned a few things.
I learned a
come
lot.
on.
No, it's true.
on, Phil.
It's true. It's true. And, I think what we're delivering here is a benefit to a lot of especially first-time home buyers or even repeat buyers. Sometimes you made the mistake the first time and you're not going to
I wish
do
I
it
had
the
bought
second
that
time.
house next week after knowing what I just learned.
But things change.
Yeah.
There's probably more. There's probably more next week.
So,
Very cool. So, ladies, thank you for being with us. Phil, thank you as always. Once again, this is From the Vault, an exclusive podcast put together by Empire State Bank. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment, and definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. And until next time, we'll see you later.